Very interesting.
In today's Moment of Geek, here's a formula for technological innovation. Start with a problem no one has managed to solve. Take some of the smartest people in the world, pit them against each other, kind of like rock'em sock'em robots, except you punch each other with your smarts. And then make the competition worthwhile by ponying up some sweet cash. That was how Raymond Ortigue inspired transatlantic aviation. In 1919, he offered $25,000 to the first aviator who could fly nonstop from New York to Paris. 9 teams competed for the prize, and Charles Lindbergh won the money in 1927. Really, everybody won because suddenly commercial aviation became possible. Decades later, the X Prize Foundation is using the same model to jumpstart innovation in everything from space travel to gene sequencing to fuel-efficient cars. In 1996, it offered $10 million to the first team to develop a manned spacecraft that could fly out of Earth's atmosphere and land safely twice in 2 weeks. 26 teams competed. In 2004, the prize went to Spaceship One. There are X Prizes up for grabs in the contest to sequence 100 human genomes in 10 days or less, and in the prize to land a robot on the moon that can travel 500 meters or more and transmit images back to Earth. Today, the foundation announced a new prize to develop technology to clean up oil spills on the ocean's surface. But right now, I'm geeking out on an X Prize challenge that three years after it started is in its final stages. It's a contest to develop hyper-efficient cars. The winning cars have to get the equivalent of 100 miles a gallon, be able to travel 200 miles on a single tank or electric charge. They have to be safe to drive and commercially producible. 131 cars entered the contest back in 2007. Now, after some rigorous road testing last week at the Michigan International Speedway, we are down to 9. Here to tell us more about what may be the cars of the near future, Peter Diamandis. He is the chairman and CEO of the X Prize Foundation, and I believe a fellow Bronx native. Peter, how you doing tonight?
Good evening. I'm doing great, Chris. How you doing?
So I guess the first question is, what do we have to rethink to get to a car that can travel the equivalent of 100 miles per gallon?
Well, what we did was we created a new metric for measuring how a car goes, and we call it MPGE, miles per gallon equivalent, because sometimes what powers a car doesn't have a gallon of anything. It's electric. And so this new metric we did with Consumers Report allows us to compare electric against hybrid, against gasoline or ethanol, whatever it might be. So that's the first thing to do. And then we're rethinking the aerodynamics. We're rethinking the power systems and powertrain, the materials that are in it, and really just the entire approach of how cars are designed.
One of the really interesting things is that there is this sort of multiplicity of approaches. I was reading one story about one team that is actually just building a standard gasoline-powered car. Some are electrics. Talk about that gasoline-powered one. It seems like a big issue is how much these cars weigh, and one of the big engineering innovations we've seen in the contest so far is getting that weight down.
Sure. So if you go back, the Ford Model T back, almost 100 years ago was getting 25 miles per gallon.
Unbelievable. Which
is more than the average car in the United States gets today. And as engines became more and more efficient, people started adding weight to the cars and features and so forth. We never actually pushed the miles per gallon. So these cars are taking advantage of new material sciences, composites, nanotube impregnated composite materials, crushable systems. So the way that most people protect themselves in this metal womb, you surround yourself with 5,000 pounds of metal in a Hummer or an SUV. Instead of using materials that can absorb the energy much quicker and much better and keep you safe that way.
A big part of the contest is the cars have to be commercially viable, and I wonder, what does that mean, and when can I get my awesome future car?
So, we were really lucky to have Progressive Insurance as our partner because, they're in a position now to insure these cars of the future. And one thing that was important to both of us is we don't want, cars in theory. The cars that are competing in this competition need to be able to go into production, meaning they're safe, they're affordable, they're fast because people want fast cars, they're beautiful, and they can get over 100 miles per gallon or its energy equivalent. And we're hopeful that we'll see cars going to production in the next 2 or 3 years. On the heels of the Ansari X Prize for spaceflight, Richard Branson came in and commercialized the technology that was won on the day it was won. So the same will happen here.
Now, so there's two categories, right? There's a four-seater, well, there's a bunch of categories. There's a four-seater and a two-seater cars, and there's some two-seater cars that are side-by-side and some that are sort of in a row. I'm wondering, why the two-seater category?
Well, most people drive with, just themselves in the car. So
right.
I think about the last time you've driven with really using all four seats. It's rare. And the fact is, we're looking to bring a new generation of cars to the marketplace. And these two-seat, three-wheel, which are many of those, or two-seat, four-wheel, are some beautiful cars that get well over 100 miles per gallon, or its energy equivalent, are going to be very affordable, and allow you to experiment a lot more with sexy designs that are fully aerodynamic and such.
Finally, I want to ask you if you've driven these and how they drive. I mean, people have been, I was actually just in new car purchasing mode, and people were writing reviews about hybrids and diesel and so forth. How do they drive?
So I was in one of the two-car vehicles called the Tango. It's a tandem, one front and back. And I got in, and I hit the accelerator, and I burned rubber for about 30 feet down the road. It must have cost the guy a pair of tires. But it was incredible. I mean, it literally corners like a Porsche 911. It's got the acceleration 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. Wow. I mean, these cars are fast, they're sexy, and they get over 100 mpge. And why would you want anything else?
Sounds good to me. Peter Diamandis, Chairman and CEO of the X Prize Foundation. This was really enjoyable. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.